When you hear the sound of a basketball echoing in a quiet Midwestern driveway, you probably don't imagine you're listening to history in the making. Yet for Caitlin Clark, those crisp winter evenings in West Des Moines, Iowa, were the opening chapters of a story that would eventually captivate the entire basketball world. Born on January 22, 2002, Caitlin grew up in a family where competition was practically a second language. Her father, Brent, had been a standout in baseball and basketball at Simpson College, and her mother, Ann, shared the same competitive spark. With two brothers, Blake and Colin, always ready for a game of one-on-one, the Clark household was a place where you either played hard or went inside early. From the time she could barely palm a junior-size ball, Caitlin showed a coordination that stopped adults in their tracks. Neighbors remember the sight of a tiny girl firing jump shots long after the sun went down, the arc of the ball barely visible against the evening sky. But talent, as every athlete learns, is only the spark. The flame requires hours of discipline, and Caitlin's family nurtured both. Her parents encouraged her curiosity and her love of sport without pressure, teaching her that drive has to come from within if it's going to last. By the time she joined the All-Iowa Attack, one of the premier AAU programs in the country, Caitlin was still a middle schooler but already playing against girls 2 and 3 years older. Those tournaments were not polite affairs. They were physical, fast, and full of players headed to Division I programs. Instead of being intimidated, Caitlin thrived. Coaches noticed the way she could pull up for a three-pointer before defenders even registered what she was doing. She learned how to absorb contact, how to create passing angles in tight spaces, and how to stay calm when an older, stronger opponent tried to rattle her. High school only amplified that reputation. At Dowling Catholic in West Des Moines, Caitlin averaged more than 27 points per game as a freshman and never looked back. Her deep shooting range, pulling up from the logo before logo threes were a social media trend, became a nightly spectacle. She collected 2 Gatorade Iowa Player of the Year awards and earned a coveted spot as a McDonald's All-American. Recruiting letters poured in from across the country, Notre Dame, Texas, Oregon, and nearly every other powerhouse women's program wanted her. Yet when the time came to decide, Caitlin chose the University of Iowa, a decision that surprised some but delighted local fans. She explained that staying close to home felt right, that she wanted to represent her state and family. That choice would soon reshape women's college basketball. Caitlin arrived in Iowa City in the strange, silent winter of 2020, when pandemic restrictions meant arenas were half empty and travel was limited. None of it slowed her down. From her very first game in a Hawkeyes uniform she played as if she belonged to another dimension, leading the entire nation in scoring as a freshman with more than 26 points per game. The Big Ten named her Freshman of the Year and she earned first-team All-America honors, but statistics only hint at the impact she made. Her deep, effortless three-pointers drew comparisons to Stephen Curry, and highlight reels of her no-look passes spread across social media, giving Iowa women's basketball a national profile it had never experienced. Her sophomore season proved she wasn't just a scorer. Defenses that tried to double-team her discovered she had sharpened her court vision and could dissect them with laser-quick passes, averaging over 7 assists per game. Triple-doubles, once rare in college basketball, became almost routine. By her junior year, Caitlin had transformed Iowa into a perennial Big Ten powerhouse. The Hawkeyes won the conference tournament, and she claimed Big Ten Player of the Year again. Crowds grew larger each month, arenas across the Midwest sold out simply for the chance to witness her in person. Then came the senior season that cemented her place in history. Night after night, she edged closer to the NCAA Division I scoring record, a mark many believed would stand for decades. In February 2024 she surpassed Kelsey Plum's women's record, and soon after she eclipsed Pistol Pete Maravich's all-time Division I total, a barrier once thought untouchable. Every arena Iowa visited filled to capacity. Television ratings for women's basketball reached unprecedented highs, sometimes outdrawing men's games. Coaches and opponents praised not just her shooting range but her leadership, noting how she elevated everyone around her. What makes Caitlin Clark so mesmerizing isn't only the points she scores but how she scores them. Her release is lightning fast, her range seemingly limitless. Defenders must guard her the moment she crosses half-court, creating space for teammates and forcing constant defensive adjustments. Yet she's equally dangerous as a passer, often throwing cross-court assists through impossibly small windows. Her basketball IQ allows her to anticipate plays a beat before anyone else, and her competitiveness means she relishes the moments when the game hangs in the balance. When Caitlin declared for the 2024 WNBA draft, the anticipation rivaled that of top men's prospects. Selected number 1 overall by the Indiana Fever, she brought with her not just extraordinary skill but a nationwide fan base. Ticket sales for Fever games surged, merchandise flew off shelves, and major sponsors such as Nike and Gatorade lined up with endorsements. Analysts predicted that her arrival would lift the entire league's visibility, and early signs have proven them right. Television ratings for preseason games climbed, and young fans flocked to arenas wearing Iowa jerseys that soon gave way to Fever colors. Beyond the stats and records lies Caitlin's larger cultural impact. She has inspired a new generation of young athletes, particularly girls who see in her a proof that women's basketball can command primetime attention. Youth leagues across Iowa and the Midwest reported spikes in registration after her record-breaking season. Parents speak of daughters who insist on practicing Caitlin shots from the driveway logo. Off the court she remains grounded, quick to credit teammates and coaches, and dedicated to balancing academics with athletics, a role model for perseverance and humility. It's worth pausing to consider just how swiftly she has shifted perceptions. A decade ago, women's college games rarely sold out major arenas. Now, because of players like Caitlin Clark, they set attendance and viewership records. She's become a bridge between generations, drawing longtime basketball purists and new fans alike. In interviews she speaks not of personal glory but of gratitude, for her family, her teammates, and the state that cheered her every step of the way. As her professional career unfolds, the future remains unwritten. Will she lead the Indiana Fever to championships? Will she chase Olympic gold? Those chapters are still ahead. But what's undeniable is that Caitlin Clark has already carved her name into the sport's bedrock. She showed that a girl from Iowa, armed with an unshakable work ethic and a fearless jump shot, could rewrite the record books and capture the imagination of millions. So the next time you hear the echo of a basketball late at night, remember the story that began the same way. Caitlin Clark's journey reminds us that greatness can rise from anywhere, so long as the passion burns bright and the will to work never fades. Her records may one day be surpassed, but the excitement she brought to women's basketball is timeless. Thank you for joining this deep dive into the life and career of Caitlin Clark. If her story inspired you, consider subscribing for more long-form profiles of athletes who redefine greatness. Share this video with fellow sports fans and help spread the legacy of a player whose influence is only just beginning.